G'day everyone, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, and this is the final video of 2022, I will be going over every single tip I got throughout the 2022 NRL season, meaning I'll go through each individual game from rounds 1 to 25 and counting the qualifying finals, the semi-finals, the preliminary finals and the grand final. So I will be going over to see how many games I got out of 201 for this year. Yep, so like I said, I'll go for each individual game of the year, and I will also, at the end of the video, I'm going to go through every team, how many tips I tipped them for this year. So for example, I tipped, like the Rabbits for example, I tipped them 4 times and I got 3 right, so it's at 75% winning percentage. So I'll do that. That's an example, it's not officially, because well, I tipped the Rabbits for most of my tips this year, but just as an example. So I'll go for each individual team at the end of the video, and I'll see how well I did with all 16 teams throughout 2022. And before we continue on, this will be my, like I said that earlier before, this will be my final video for 2022. I hope you guys enjoyed watching my content throughout 2022. I just want to say thank you very much for supporting my channel and growing my channel as well. I could not have done it without you guys. Now next week I will be doing a 2022 review of my channel, so I'll go through the ups and downs, like go through what the best video was, or etc. That won't be coming out until after New Year, so about like 2nd or 3rd of January. But I hope you guys enjoyed watching my content this year. Comment down below what you enjoyed watching my videos, whether it was the rugby league video game series, the tips, or the vlogs, or anything like that. But without further ado, let's get into today's video. And also, if you want to know my record from last year, I got 140 out of 201 in last year's tipping. I actually did a video similar to this, but it's not going to be as long as last year's one. So I got 140 out of 201. That's the target to beat, because I actually have no clue how many I got. I did keep track, but I didn't put down, like, I wasn't keeping track of how many I got for each round. But without further ado, let's get into today's video. So how this will work, I will display the 8 teams that I tipped for each game, regardless if it was correct or not. I will say how many points they would win, and I will say the actual result, not the score, but how many points they won by. Now, if I got a team incorrect, I'm going to say, I will say who played who, and I'll say how much they lost by, etc. And for the bye rounds, this will be the same. So I'll have 1, 2, 3, 4 as the top, and 5, 6, 7, 8 games, all in that order. And with the bye rounds, go top left, top right, bottom left, bottom right. Without further ado, let's get into the video. So for the first round of 2022, these are the 8 teams I tipped. I only got 4 out of 8 correct. So I managed to get the first 4 games wrong and the last 4 games correct. So I got Manly, Sharks, Rabbitohs and the Roosters as losing, while the Dragons, Melbourne, Eels and the Bulldogs won their games. So I started off with 4 out of 8 for the season. Round 2 was a lot more better. I got 6 out of 8 games correct. I tipped the Storm, Panthers, Roosters, Titans, Knights and Broncos to win their games. The Eels and Raiders lost their matches to the Sharks and Cowboys respectively. So this round was a lot more better. I got 6 out of 8 correct, which comes to a total of 10 out of 16. Round 3, I managed to get 4 out of the 8 games correct. So I got the first 4 games correct with the Sharks, Warriors, Rabbitohs and the Panthers, while the Storm, Titans, Broncos and the Bulldogs lost their games. So this was a 50-50 round. So 4 out of 8 for this round, which comes to a total of 14 out of 24 games so far. Round 4 is the best round so far, as I managed to get 7 out of 8 games for this round. The Titans, Sharks, Panthers, Warriors, Manly, Melbourne and Eels won their games. The only game I got wrong was the Cowboys, as they were smashed by the Roosters. So for this round, 7 out of 8, which comes to a total of 21 out of 32 games. Round 5 was the best round for me, as this was a perfect round. So I tipped the Sea Eagles, Warriors, Roosters, Storm, Rabbitohs, Eels, Sharks and Panthers. I got all 8 games correct. This was my one and only perfect round, which was really unfortunate, and it was actually very shocking that I managed to get a perfect round this early in the season. So 8 out of 8 for round 5, which comes to 29 out of 40 games for the season. Round 6, Easter long weekend. This was another great round of footy, as I managed to win 6 out of 8 games correct. I got the first 6 games correct, so Cowboys, Rabbitohs, Panthers, Sea Eagles, Storm, Roosters, and the last 2 games incorrect, as the Dragons would beat the Knights, and the West Tigers would shock the world by beating the Parramatta Eels by 1 point. Overall, round 6 was great, 6 out of 8, and so at this stage it's 35 out of 43. 35 out of 48, sorry. And exact round 7. For this round, I managed to get 5 out of 8 games for this round, so first time getting 5 this season. The games I won were the Broncos, Cowboys, the Eels, Panthers, and the Storm. So the games I lost was the Roosters lost to the Dragons, Rabbitohs lost to the Tigers, and the Manly Sea Eagles lost to the Sharks. So 5 out of 8 for this round, which comes to 40 out of 56. Round 8. This was a bit of a hard round for me, so I managed to get 4 out of 8 games correct. So the teams I got correct was the Panthers, the Rabbitohs, the Cowboys, and the Storm. So the teams that lost were the Dragons. They lost. The Tigers. They lost to the Dragons. Don't know why I only tipped the Tigers because they were doing very well at that point. The Raiders lost to the Warriors by 1 point. The Roosters were upset by the Bulldogs. And then in the first game, the Broncos managed to beat the Sharks. So 4 out of 8 for this round, which comes to a total of 44 out of 64, and as we are 1/3 away for the regular season. Round 9, I managed to get 5 out of 8 games correct for this round. But the funny thing is, I got the first 3 games incorrect, and then I got the last 5 games correct, with Manly, Roosters, Cowboys, Storm, and Sharks winning their games. Rabbitohs lost to the Broncos. The Raiders beat the Bulldogs. I don't know why I tipped the Dogs. And the Panthers were shockingly beaten by the Parramatta Eels at home for this round. So yeah, so 5 out of 8 for this game, or for this round rather, which comes to 49 out of 72. Round 10, Magic Round. Although Magic Round is wonderful, and just letting you guys know, I will be attending Magic Round next year. I'll get more into that next week, or towards the end of the video. I only managed to get 2 out of 8 games correct for Magic Round in 2022. The only teams I got correct were the Rabbitohs and the Cowboys. Every other game I got incorrect. A couple upsets, and I thought Melbourne could beat Penrith, but that's later. We'll get to that later on in the year. But regardless, 2 out of 8, so which comes to 51 out of 80 for the games for the season. Round 11 was a lot more better, as I managed to get 6 out of 8 games correct. The only 2 teams I got incorrect were the Warriors, where they lost by 6 against the Dragons, and my team, the Rabbitohs, they lost by 20 against the Raiders in Dubbo. I think that's why we're not playing there next year, thankfully. So yeah, so 6 out of 8 games, which comes to 57 out of 88 for the season. Round 12, we are halfway through the season now. For round 12, I managed to get 5 out of 8 correct. So I got the first 3 games correct: Melbourne, Penrith, and the Broncos. I got the Rabbitohs and the Dragons won as well. The 3 games I lost were the Warriors. They lost to the Knights by 8 points. Sharks were beaten at PointsBet Stadium by the Roosters 36-16, and the Raiders lost to the Eels 28-20. So 5 out of 8 for this game, for this round rather, which comes to 62 out of 96. Round 13, our first of 2 bye rounds. I managed to get 3 out of 4 games correct for this round. The only team I tipped that got the loss was the Roosters, where the Raiders won 22-16. So 3 out of 4, which comes to 65 out of 100 games so far for the season. Round 14 has been the best round for a couple rounds now, as I managed to get 7 out of 8 games correct for this round. The only game I got incorrect was the Eels, where they were flogged against the Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs on the Queen's Birthday public holiday. So 7 out of 8 for this round, which comes to 72 out of 108 games so far for the season. Round 15, this was another good round of footy. I managed to get 6 out of 8 games correct. The only 2 games I got incorrect were the Rabbitohs and the Roosters, as the Bunnies were beaten by 20 and the Roosters were beaten by 10 against the Eels and Dragons respectively, or Dragons and Eels respectively, as that way, sorry. So another good round of footy, 6 out of 8, which comes to 78 out of 116 for the season. Round 16 was another great round of footy. I managed to get 7 out of 8 games for this round. So I would have had a perfect round if Melbourne won. Unfortunately, they lost by 6 points against Manly. They almost beat Manly in that game. Such a good game though. So 7 out of 8 for this round, which comes to 85 out of 124 for the season. Round 17, our other bye round. I managed to get 3 out of 4 games correct for this round. The only game I got incorrect was the first game this time, was the Storm, where they lost to the Sharks 28-6. But every other game I got correct, so 3 out of 4, which comes to 88 out of 128 for the season. Round 18, back end of the season now. I managed to get 6 out of 8 games correct for the round. The only 2 games I got incorrect were the Cowboys and the Dragons. The Roosters managed to murder the Dragons at the Central Coast Stadium, and the Cowboys lost to the Sharks at Queensland Country Bank Stadium. So 6 out of 8 for this round, which comes to 94 out of 136 for the season so far. Round 19, I managed to get 7 out of 8 games correct for this round. The only team I got incorrect was the Manly Sea Eagles, as they lost to the Dragons 20 points to 6. So I managed to get 7 out of 8 games for this round, which comes to a total of 101 out of 144 games for the season. Round 20, back end of the season now. I managed to get 5 out of 8 games correct for this round. The only teams I got incorrect were Penrith, Rabbitohs, and the Broncos. So 5 out of 8 games for this round, which comes to 106 out of 152 games I've gotten correct so far in 2022. Round 21 was slightly better, as I managed to win 6 out of the 8 games correct. 6 out of 8 games for this round. The only 2 games I lost was Manly, as they lost to the Eels 36-20, and the other game was the last game of the round, the Tigers against the Knights, which this was a very shit game, 14-10. So 6 out of 8 for this game, which comes to 112 out of 160 games for the season. Round 22 was an alright round, to say the least, as I managed to only get 4 out of 8 games correct for this game. So I managed to tip the Rabbitohs, the Sharks, Broncos, and the Raiders for this game, as I lost every other game. So overall, bit of an alright round, which I managed to get 4 out of 8, which comes to 116 out of 168 games for the season. Round 23. Now, this was the round with 6 out of the 8 games being fucking smashers. And shockingly, I managed to get 7 out of 8 games correct. The only game I got incorrect was the Rabbitohs. They only lost by 4 against the Panthers. Overall, this was the worst round for footy, as most of them were smashers. So 7 out of 8, which comes to 123 out of 176. Round 24 was another great round of footy. I managed to get 6 out of 8 games correct for this round. The only 2 games I got incorrect were the Cowboys, was against my team. So I think I was a bit of a fucking idiot for not tipping my team for this round, but oh well, can't do anything about it. And the other game was the Knights, where they lost to the Titans by 10 points, 36-26. Overall, great round of footy, 6 out of 8, which comes to 129 out of 184 games. One more round to go. And the final round of regular season, round 25, I managed to get 5 out of 8 games correct. So the only 3 games I got incorrect was the Storm, where they lost to the Eels by 8, the Rabbitohs lost by 10 to the Roosters, and the Titans lost by 1 against the Warriors. So 5 out of 8 games to end the regular season, which comes to 134 out of 192. The qualifying finals now. Now, for the first week of the finals, I managed to get 3 out of 4 games correct. So I got the Panthers, Sharks, the Panthers, Raiders, and Rabbitohs correct, while I got the Sharks wrong as the Cowboys won that game. So 3 out of 4, which comes to 137 out of 195 for the season so far. Now we are up to the semi-finals, as I managed to get 1 out of the 2 games correct for this round. The Raiders lost, the Rabbitohs won, so this comes to a total of 138 out of 198 games so far for the season. Now we are up to the preliminary finals. Now, unfortunately, I didn't get any of the preliminary final games correct. The Cowboys lost, the Rabbitohs lost, so let's go straight to the grand final, and hopefully I got the grand final correct. So we're still on 138 out of 200. Well, this was a very rip. The grand final, I didn't win it. I didn't get the team correct, so the Eagles lost in the grand final, the Penrith won, so I'm 0-1 in this one. So my final score comes to 138 out of 201 for 2022. So the total amount of tips for 2022 for me was 138 out of 201. Now, I was 2 off from getting 140, or time with 140. So a bit fewer than last year, but that's okay. 2022 was a great year of footy, very unpredictable. And the top 8, especially from 3rd place till 8th, till 10th at least, was very close. And everyone below 11th were pretty shit. So overall, it was a great thing I did this. I reckon I did very well this year. I'm hoping I can do a lot more better in 2023. Now, with that over and done with, now I'm just going to go through each team individually, so I'll see how many times I tipped them and how many I got correct for each team, with a winning percentage as well. I tipped the Brisbane Broncos 11 times throughout 2022, winning 9 out of 11 games. The only losses to the Cowboys and West Tigers with a winning percentage of 81.8%. I tipped the Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs 9 times throughout 2022, and I managed to get 5 out of 9 tips correct, with a winning percentage of 55.6%. I tipped the North Queensland Cowboys 20 times throughout 2022, counting the finals, and I managed to get 15 out of 20 correct, with a winning percentage of 75%. I tipped the St George Illawarra Dragons in 8 games this year. I managed to get 6 out of 8 games correct, with a winning percentage of 75%. So I managed to tip the Parramatta Eels 14 times throughout 2022, managing to win 9 out of the 14 games, with a winning percentage of 64.8. I managed to tip the Newcastle Knights 4 times throughout 2022, with them only winning 2 of the 4 games that I tipped for, with a winning percentage of 50%. I managed to tip the Penrith Panthers in an impressive 21 games this year, with them winning 18 of the 21 games that I tipped for, with a winning percentage of 85.7%. So I managed to tip my team, my boys, the South Sydney Rabbitohs, 24 games this year, and I managed to get 15 of the 24 games correct, with a winning percentage of 63%. So I managed to tip the Canberra Raiders a total of 13 games this year, managed to get 9 out of 13 correct, with a winning percentage of 69.2%. So I managed to tip the Sydney Roosters 14 times throughout 2022, with them winning 9 out of 14 games I tipped correctly, with a winning percentage of 64.3. The Manly Warringah Seagulls, I tipped them 13 times throughout 2022, with them winning 7 of the 13 games I tipped correctly, with a winning percentage of 53.8. So I managed to tip the Cronulla Sutherland Sharks a total of 18 times for 18 games throughout 2022, with them winning 13 of the 18 games I tipped correctly, with a winning percentage of 72.2%. So I managed to tip the Melbourne Storm a total of 20 games this year, with them winning 15 of the 20 games I tipped correctly, with a winning percentage of 75%. So I managed to only tip the Gold Coast Titans 3 times this season, which I believe is the lowest out of all the teams, with them winning 2 of the 3 games I tipped correctly, with a winning percentage of 66%. I managed to tip the Warriors a total of 7 times throughout 2022, with them winning 4 of the 7 tips I got correctly, with a winning percentage of 57.1. I managed to tip the West Tigers a total of 3 times, so which is tied with the Titans throughout 2022, but this time I managed to tip them once out of 3 correctly, with a winning percentage of 33%. And here we are, everyone. This will come towards the end of the video. Overall, for my tipping this year, getting 138 out of 201 games. Sure, that was a bit of a disappointment compared to last year when I got 140. But hey, this year was fun. I enjoyed making all the YouTube videos throughout 2022, mainly the tipping videos. But anyways, everyone, this will come towards the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe for more content like this. We are currently on 575 subscribers. Make sure you click that subscribe button if you haven't. If you're new around here, make sure you do. We're on our way to 600 subscribers. My goal for next year, main goal, is to reach 1,000 subscribers before or during the 2023 NRL season. But anyways, everyone, this will come towards the end of the video. Before I wrap it up, I just wanted to say thank you very much for supporting my channel throughout 2022. I know I've said it many times before, but I could not have done it without you guys. Now, this is the very last video of 2022, and I will be doing my next video, which won't be until the start of January, which will be my season review, a review over my channel throughout 2022. Like, I will show like what my highest viewed video throughout 2022. I'll say how many subscribers, the most I got from the one video that gave you the most, and I'll say when about what time of year was the busiest time for my channel, as in like how many views for my channel. But I'll definitely say, before I say any of that, I'll definitely say 2022 was a success in my opinion. Was very successful compared to 2021. Second year doing rugby league content, and I've been on this channel for roughly 2.5 years now. It'll be 3 years when June rocks around next year. But anyways, everyone, that will wrap it up here. I hope you've had a Merry Christmas, and I hope you have a happy new year, and I will see you in 2023. Take care.